start here this morning. The ANC Limpopo will hold its eagerly awaited provincial elective conference this weekend. Current provincial chair Stan Mathabatha is running against Dickson Masemula. Mathabatha has already endorsed ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa for a second term. eNCA's Siphamandla Goge is watching developments and joins us now. Good morning, Siphamandla. I mean, interesting developments, what we heard from that presser yesterday. But the big question on everyone's mind is the conference likely to go ahead this weekend?
According to the meeting of the Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC in Limpopo, the conference is scheduled to go ahead this weekend. Will it go ahead? We can only know that on Friday, once we are done with registration of delegates, invited guests. But the PEC meeting yesterday night resolved that it was all systems go. The province is ready for the conference. But of late, you do know with ANC conferences, there are some challenges and delays. So it remains to be seen whether they will be able to deal with those challenges and delays in terms of preparing for this conference. There are issues and disputes leading up to the conference. Some of the branches allege that there was manipulation of processes, that they were closed out, and they have launched disputes with the Provincial Dispute Committee or Resolution Committee. Others have gone to the National Dispute Resolution Committee. Some of those disputes have not been resolved as we speak. There are also those who are calling for a rerun of one of the powerful and influential regions in Limpopo, Peter Mokaba region. They are alleging that the December 2021 conference was convened irregularly. So those are some of the issues that are at play here. Dickson Masemula is the one who's challenging Stan Mathabatha. Stan Mathabatha is the current provincial chairperson of the ANC in Limpopo. He is vying for a third term. This man next to me is Dickson Masemula, former deputy provincial chairperson. Years ago, he has decided to come back and contest for the position of the provincial chairperson. Dade Masemula, thank you very much for your time. Why are you contesting?
Very good morning to you, Sipho, and all your viewers throughout the country. I'm Dr. Dickson Namani Masemula, a long-standing member of the African National Congress. I have been approached and in fact so far nominated by many branches in the province to contest the chairpersonship in the upcoming provincial conference scheduled from Friday up until Sunday. It's a very important political process that I've been called upon to actually avail myself. It's not a new thing for me to be at that level of leadership in the province. I was once a deputy chair of the province for 2 terms, and therefore I believe that, and branches believe that I'm more than very ready to basically take over after where the current chair of the province, Comrade Stan Mathabatha, will be ending. Precisely for me to actually working together with the collective leadership that together will be elected by close of conference on Sunday to basically make a significant contribution towards the renewal program of the ANC, but equally important because this leadership that will be elected on Sunday, this coming weekend, will not be a leadership for members of the ANC only. It will be a leadership that will have to serve 5.5 million people of this province. Their socio-economic situation requires a much closer attention, and therefore we will have to work very hard to make sure that we basically reconnect with the base, we reconnect with the people of our province very seriously.
You have been in leadership positions in the ANC and in government. Why did you not decide to contest at the time when you were the deputy provincial chairperson? You had to make way for the current chair, but don't you think that in hindsight you should have contested back then?
Well, in 2014, branches of the ANC in the province, equally when the current chair was brought to the province by the leadership of the organization, as he was the former diplomat stationed in Ukraine. When he was brought back to the province, I was actually requested to stand as branches, but as a disciplined member of the ANC, given the assignment which was given to the current chair of the province, based on organizational discipline, I decided to withdraw and not contest at that conference, precisely to make sure that he gets then an opportunity to make a contribution and therefore pursue an assignment that was bestowed upon him. And that is the reason why I couldn't at that time, because organizational discipline dictated to me to behave and posture differently as a disciplined member of the ANC.
But what do you stand for in terms of socio-economic policies and challenges? I know in the ANC it's about collective leadership, but why should the branch delegates of the ANC elect you as the chairperson? What is it that you are going to offer to change socio-economic challenges in Limpopo? Poverty, inequality, unemployment. This is one of the poorest provinces in the country. As we speak, it's Child Protection Week. About 18,000 children here in Limpopo. There are child pregnancies in Limpopo, and about 600 of those are just, child pregnancies, and there's teenage pregnancy. Policy-wise, what do you stand for? Who are you?
Well, the African National Congress at any given time determines policy frameworks on different areas of public interest in terms of services to our people. And those policies find expression in the macro economic strategy of our country, which of course is well elaborated in the National Development Plan. That becomes and remains a guiding document that leaders at any given time, when they get into office, firstly in the organization, we are guided by the traditions, the culture, and the policy framework of the ANC. But for me, what becomes extremely important is what type of the African National Congress would I want to see in the province that will contribute towards the organization nationally. We're in a province which is very diverse in its character, given the micronations that exist in this particular province. So a leadership that is so much required would be the one that will become and remain a clue to all these nationalities that are in the province because of its complexity. That is first and foremost. Secondly, leadership is an ingredient that is very primary to the success of any organization, and therefore for me I'm looking forward to an ANC that will be very decisive. Its character will reinforce discipline, order, behavior that will actually reinforce the true tradition and character of the African National Congress.
And that ANC in Limpopo must also deal with corruption, deal with non-delivery of services. Most of the municipalities in this province are struggling, and there has been that scandal about the VPS. All those municipalities we invested there are ANC municipalities. How do you ensure that moving forward you deal with issues of corruption here in Limpopo, you deal with issues of not providing basic services to the people of Limpopo, because the ANC is governing here?
You know, the phenomenon which troubles political organizations and the ANC included, including even government, is the whole issue around, as you call it, corruption, malfeasance, sleaze, malversation, to the extent that corruption then becomes a cancer that actually erodes the trust, it erodes the base, it diverts resources that are supposed to be channeled for the development of our communities. It's a matter that understandably going forward will receive a much closer attention, so that we actually deal with any other matter that creates a perception out there, because this ANC is not only for the people that are members, the society in general. When they look at us, both in the organization and government, they must say this leadership and this organization stands for integrity, stands for good governance, and therefore proper use of public resources in the interest of the general public, but also making sure that their conditions improve for the better, including providing those basic services so much needed by our communities.
We are out of time, but I have to ask you this question. There are calls for your current chairperson to go to national and contest for the position of the national chairperson, and there are some people in Limpopo, including your current chair, who have supported President Cyril Ramaphosa for the second term. What is your view when it comes to those two issues?
There is no ambiguity about us, and me in particular as well, believing that President Matamela Ramaphosa deserves a second term. There is no ambiguity about that. We're working very hard, and quite understandably, this process that we are unfolding even beyond this conference, we're looking forward to a united Limpopo province behind this leadership. As it regards what then becomes our interest provincially in relation to the chairperson's approach to national conference, we'll deal with that matter after conference. My preoccupation now is the provincial conference, but without any ambiguity, President Ramaphosa deserves a second term. We're going going to make sure that he does gets re-elected as the president going forward in December after I will have closed the conference on Sunday. I'm looking forward to close the conference on Sunday. Delegates won't make any mistake, because the third term that our leader is looking forward to in the province is a foreign phenomenon. Was here in Polokwane in 2007 when delegates across the country, members of the ANC, we lost a very good opportunity under a leader that we loved so much at that time. But because of the third term phenomenon, we couldn't. And even now, it will be very unfair, very unfortunate for the ANC in Polokwane, a conference at the ranch, to actually still affirm a phenomenon which we so much disallowed at some point. I'm looking forward to this conference with a high level of enthusiasm and energy.
Wow, thank you very much for time. We're out of time. That is Dickson Masemula, who's contesting for the position of the provincial chairperson in Limpopo during the upcoming ANC provincial conference this coming weekend.
All right, Siphamandla, thank you for that. Clearly, Mr. Dickson Masemula is very confident that indeed he's closing this conference come this Sunday. We'll catch up with you a bit later as the story continues.